Tim, welcome to Watch One, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, reference 116515LN. This is the Cerachrom Bezel Daytona. You can see it, you can buy it, and take it home on our website, watchyouwant.com. And if you like these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now you can see on my wrist, 6 1/3, 16 centimeters in circumference. This 40mm Rolex Daytona wears perfectly. Now, essentially since 1988, with the advent of the first automatic winding Daytonas, the shape, the absolute size and proportions of this case have not changed. Unlike the Supercase, Submariner, GMT-Master II, and Explorer II, the Daytona hasn't bloated over time. It remains delicate, elegant, but at the same time masculine and sporting. And you'll note, relatively thin. You can see the watch, and I'm going to give you the advantage of a profile shot here, has a relatively conical case back, so kind of cupped. And when you strap it down on the wrist, it only sits about 10 millimeters off the skin. So 12 millimeters absolute thickness, but only about 10 millimeters high on the wrist. You can see with that wonderfully smooth, sloped, conical ceramic bezel, a dress cuff will slide up and over this easily. So from an aesthetic as well as physical standpoint, it works perfectly with formal attire. Sporty but versatile. You can wear this with long sleeves or short because, again, it does have 2 gears, appropriate for a racing-inspired watch. You can wear this casual, you can wear it formal. Either way, it's going to be very comfortable because the Daytona case is a little bit more tapered, elegant, pared down. It has an almost a transparent quality on the wrist, never an encumbrance, and wonderfully comfortable with a full leather strap. In my opinion, the Daytona and the Day-Date are the 2 Rolex Oyster cases that work best, even look better with a strap as opposed to a bracelet. The cases are so fine, so elegant, that the mass of the bracelet almost weighs down the whole composition, almost detracts from the beauty of the case, the dial, and the bezel. And I love the complementary effect you get between the black rectangular scale alligator leather here and the black Cerachrom of the ceramic bezel. Now there's the same visual coherence that you get with the bracelet because Rolex uses a nicely bolstered strap that's almost as thick at the point that it joins the lug as the lug itself. So there's no visual break in profile. And from any other angle, Rolex uses integrated rose gold end pieces so you have that unbroken flow from strap to case to dial, just as you would get with a bracelet, but again, with greater elegance and complementary colors. Now, the clasp is impressive because it's part of the modern generation of milled out Rolex clasps. So extremely solid, extremely satisfying to hear it close with a snick, open with a snap. And I'll say that by itself, because of the weight of the metal that's in it, this clasp feels as heavy and as solid, maybe even heavier than entire vintage manual wind Daytonas that I've seen from the 60s. So not just beautiful to look at, but beautiful from a value standpoint, very substantial. And even though it's on a strap, the watch does have that premium pull of precious metal. A big part of that is the substance of the clasp and the solid gold caseback. It's heavier, even knowing that it's gold, it's heavier in the hand than you expect. And it is the classic profile of the Rolex Daytona. Now in the modern era, this watch gained its ceramic bezel, the first ever on the model, in 2011 when this example, the 116515LN, debuted. At the time, there was a lot of talk about the build-up to the 50th anniversary of the Cosmograph Daytona model in 2013. But after this model, with the ceramic bezel, the beautiful black and rose gold combination debuted in 2011, the ultimate 2013 Platinum Anniversary Daytona almost seemed like an anticlimax. While that watch is impressive, I would say dollar for dollar, ounce per ounce, inch per inch, this is the more impressive reference. This is probably the most visual impact you can get in a Cosmograph. It is incredibly slick in person. It's also incredibly slick on the wrist. And because this dial has outstandingly striking features, it is the total package. So you know about the Cerachrom bezel, first seen on the 2005 GMT-Master II 6-digit reference. Cerachrom is a ceramic, high polish, effectively as scratch-proof as sapphire. So now you have durability on the bezel that has not traditionally been a Daytona hallmark, and Rolex really struggled over the years to build a bezel that was essentially as durable as Daytona owners had expected. I've even seen the metal engraved bezels from the 5- and 6-digit reference Daytonas worn down a bit, almost with a sandblasted look from regular use, sliding under and out from under a sleeve over the years. Cerachrom does away with that, so that ensures not only is there going to be less wear and tear on your case because the bezel always takes the first knock, but the bezel itself is going to keep looking this good likely for decades to come unless you do something stupidly violent with the watch. Now, another treatment that's definitely different from the usual Rolex practice, we've become familiar with seeing the platinum-filled wells on the Cerachrom bezels. That's right, they do have depth, they are engraved, they have texture. Here they're filled with a combination of rose gold and platinum, so you get that same durability, but you get an incredibly unique and gorgeous contrast between the inlaid golden elements and the black of the polished Cerachrom. And it continues in the dial. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but what I really need to convey, at least verbally, is that it's neither a white nor a silver dial, and it has no grain to it. Instead, it's almost like an off-white, almost like a cream color. Ivory might be the word. It's an ivory tone, very smooth, and it's a beautiful contrast with that little shock, the red Daytona logo above the subdial at 6 o'clock, and the rose gold elements stand out beautifully against that almost eggshell ivory. Very gorgeous, and the perfect choice to complement a rose gold watch with rose gold hands, applied indices, subdial chapter rings, and the 5-point Rolex coronet. This is aesthetically the total package. But Rolex is dedicated to delivering more than just the total aesthetic package. It was the 6-digit reference Daytona in 2000 that introduced us to the Rolex chronometer caliber 4130. Rolex's first in-house chronograph movement in the Daytona. It lengthened the legendary El Primero's 52-hour power reserve to 72 hours, ushering in the modern era of long power reserve Rolex watches. It simplified the El Primero's movement, finding elegance not so much in complexity, but in pared-down simplicity, more reliable, easier to service, also more durable with a full balance bridge now fixing the balance in place rather than the balance cock of the El Primero, also adding a vertical clutch mechanism so you can run the chronograph seconds hand continuously with no hazard to the movement. Again, not possible in the El Primero, also because the El Primero had the 52-hour power reserve. Running the chronograph continuously would also wear down the power reserve more rapidly. With a 72-hour reserve, 3 days, you don't have to worry about that in this watch. It also features Rolex's signature, the handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring made of Cerachrom bleu. So you get all of the traditional positional resilience benefits of an overcoil hairspring. That is, any position on your wrist, any position you might put it down on your dresser at night, it's not going to gain or lose an undue amount of time. But with Cerachrom bleu, you get a little bit of the Milgauss in the Daytona. Anti-magnetic properties, thermally resistant, very tough. So you have a watch that's elegant in its simplicity inside, with a long power reserve, smooth bidirectional Rolex perpetual winding for a 72-hour power reserve, and of course all the modern standards in chronograph construction. The column wheel, a traditional element that makes for crisp actuation, and the vertical clutch, and you can watch that seconds hand, for smooth starts, unwavering stops, and precise resets to the index at 12. This is Rolex at its best, inside and out. A complete manufacturer product. There isn't a single piece of this watch not made, not designed, not executed in the image of its creator's imagination, entirely within Rolex. And like I said, I believe that dollar for dollar, you cannot buy a more dramatic Cosmograph Daytona. If you want one of the best versions of one of Rolex's most legendary references, I encourage you to check out this Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, reference 116515LN, on our website, watchyouwant.com.